Well, sunshine, we're going to have some fun today. We're going to work on a carburetor. We got a carburetor that's not getting enough fuel to the saw. We modified the saw too much, can't get enough fuel to it now through the stock carburetor. We're working on the 026 carburetor, and we're a little limited on just going to a bigger carburetor due to the choke in it. Just to let you know part of why we're doing it. So, a guy needs to be able to work on a carburetor, doesn't he? It's not all about grinding and gouging. I've got the carburetor all apart, and I've got some stuff on here. Now, I'm going to let you know I've got another camera up here running, and I'll try to sync it up the best I can, but if it's out of sync on the audio, just please bear with me. I'm not a videographer, of course. I'm just chainsaw hack, so allow me that, please. Okay, so essentially this carburetor, we got to get fuel in here, and on the main jet it's got to come out here and into the bore. Now on the idle it's got to come out here and go into the bore, and we got all kinds of passages to get us from where the fuel line goes on to where the fuel comes out right here on this valve nozzle, and we're going to take care of some of those. Now, what I had a problem with on this carburetor, it would run good in short bursts, 12-inch wood, 16-inch wood, something like that. Brought it up to Dad's the other day, and we were sawing probably 30-inch wood with a 50cc saw. So it's in there for a while. Well, after it got good and hot, and I mean just one after another, we was treating it like it was getting abused, like a saw that's maybe used for milling or something. Well, the saw has to be able to stand that, doesn't it? So, and I'll let you know, to get this saw tuned, I was 2.5, almost 3 turns out on the high jet, and a half turn, 3/4 of a turn only made a little bit of difference. I was about shot, right? The low jet, I was out about 1 3/4. What I think I finally decided is I was running, allow me to call this the bowl, the fuel reservoir area. I think I was running that out, and plus I was out of adjustment. So I want to start with a couple thoughts here. Not sure which order in I want to show you. I've got my drill bits picked out. Like for this high passage, where the fuel comes down out of this bowl into the high jet passage is right here. It goes in there at an angle, and it's shooting up into that port where this needle valve goes, right? So that's how it gets fuel from there to there. Now, this drill bit here barely fits. It's 49 thousandths. I'm going to take that up to 57 thousandths, but I'm going to do it in 2 steps. I get a 54 thousandths bit to 57 thousandths bit. That's on the passage there, and then I'm actually going to chamfer that area there so it can run fuel into that, kind of like a funnel. I better get my glasses on. And I'll also chamfer that so it can get fuel. Now the second passage is our low jet passage that comes from this fuel bowl, fuel reservoir area. And it's a 39 thousandths. The first bit laying out there, guys, is just shoving in there backwards is what I do to determine what size of a hole I've got. So I use that to determine the hole size, and then we go on up from there. So I'm only going to really be using 2 bits. And the jet passages are 32 thousandths bit will just barely fit. And we've got bits out for 34 and 36 thousandths. Now there's going to be a couple considerations there we want to keep track of. That's where we're at. Now I want to give you some more thoughts here on this jet passage and on this jet. Now I've kind of got it drew out here. This little nib on the end of this jet is tapered. It's tapered like this. Now this here, the parallel lines are the jet passage. This is representative of the screw right here, my screw. Well, this nib on the end is tapered So when you turn this out of turn, you're actually pulling that taper out, and that's where you're widening out. If this gets back to there, you see how much gap's there. So that gives you a pretty small increments of adjustment per turn. Now, the low jet on another carburetor, and I've already done this, if you go too big on the low jet or the high jet, what you end up doing is sealing off of this broader angle here. See that after this small taper right here, it goes out into probably a 60 or 80 degree angle. So if you go too big, you're actually going to be sealing off of this angle, and just 1/8 of a turn will be the difference between running lean and running fat. This real coarse adjustment if you get to seating against this angle instead of using this angle as your meter. We'll get to this here problem here in just a little bit. Now, as far as doing the low passages and the high jets, I may start with that, and I want to show you a little trick I use. Now, like when we do the high passage, we got two different high passages we're going to do. One's from the float bowl 2 where this needle goes in, right? And the second one is going to be from where that needle goes in, and that's going to go all the way in to that, and you can see it's orange. That's where that valve jet's at. Now, how do we keep? Let's say you don't want to take this valve jet out because they can be problematic to put back in. I've got another video on how I had to modify a drill bit, and we can actually put genuine Walbro parts in there. And I've done that, but I really don't want to take that back out. Now that drill bit will fit, so the first thing we're going to do is chuck up the next size drill bit. You say, well, why don't you go both sizes at once? Or just, if you're going to go to this size, why not go to that size? I'll tell you that the bigger the drill bit, the more chance I am of leaving a burr right here on the inlet side of that, and or getting it crooked. A bit that's just shaving off in there automatically wants to follow that hole better, and it also is taking off less, so any burr it would happen to leave is also less of a burr. So we're going to do the high jet one first, and that is the worst one to do because that is the place to get aluminum shavings. So how do you do that? Well, you get out your aluminum magnets, what you do. See, if you get out your aluminum magnet, then you can capture that aluminum on your drill bit. You say, well, I ain't never seen an aluminum magnet. Yeah, you have. You just didn't know what it was. I'm gonna get me a little paper towel here for wiping. And I'm gonna get out my aluminum magnet. I'm gonna squirt me just a little dab of grease on the end of that drill bit. And now when I drill this out, you don't necessarily want to go out hog wild. Just drill yourself a little bit in there. And your mind's eye can feel that pretty good. And pull that out. Now wipe that up. Now wipe your magnet clean, and you can see, you probably can't see, but you'll have to take my word for it. I lie a lot, but I'm being serious right now. There's the aluminum right there that I just drilled out of there. Reload your magnet and give her hell easy until you're through. And like I say, I just give it a few turns. Oh, I think I just felt it break through just in that short amount of time. And man, we got some aluminum on there. Done just little bitty shavings. We're gonna make sure we're through there right quick. Reload our aluminum magnet. And send that in, and you can kind of with your mind's eye make sure you made that one through, and we did. Now while I've got this bit, I'm gonna go ahead and do the low side too. Now I'm gonna tell you the carburetor, I'm recreating, guys, is what I'm doing. I don't like leading you guys down a path and not know the answer. And I did this the other day, and the saw runs great. And it has a little bit of a problem. The low jet is hard to adjust. An eighth of a turn makes a huge difference, more difference than I want it to make. And the settings on this saw currently are on the high jet. I'm about 3/4 of a turn out, and I'm running rich. I'm right where I want to be for a saw that's going to be abused, and this saw is going to be abused. So there, we just broke through. So that's all the time it took. And what I was going to say is I went both sizes on the low jet, both drill bit sizes on the low jet and the high jet. This go around, it's only getting both sizes on the high jet because I don't need that big of a hole in the low jet. My low jet is, like I say, maybe a 1/4 turn out to be set right. My high jet is right at 3/4 of a turn. I can live with that. Matter of fact, I like it. That's a good place for it to be. Now it don't take much when you go to doing these. We're doing them pretty quick, and we just ain't taking off very much. And if I can find my marker, I forgot I did this last time. If you'll make you a little bitty mark right there on that drill bit, you can kind of see about how deep you want to go. That way your mind's eye, well, my mind's eye is doing a difficult job of telling me how deep I was, and I don't just want to drill into that. I don't want to just drill into this valve there, jet valve. So we've cleaned that out, and we've got all the aluminum shavings, most of the aluminum shavings that come out with it. Now the low jet that we drilled, it's not too problematic. I can blow through here and blow through this hole right here where it gets low fuel through. Now I can blow those backwards. Now this main jet, it's a little more problematic, and that's why I keep that aluminum magnet there, and I'll blow that out here in a bit with brake cleaner. So the jets are done. That's all that took. The jets are done. Okay, so now we're up to the low passage. There's the size that fits it. That lets fuel from that bowl. We're gonna call it a bowl. You're gonna let me have my 4-stroke terminology, because you guys enjoy me and let me have little nuances like that. So we'll drill this low jet passage out, and it don't take much. These drill pretty easy. Just one of these little hand drills. And I drill in just a little bit. Grease is cheap. Don't take too long to reload it. It takes a whole lot less time to reload it than it does to everything else. And these little drills like this, it come with, I don't know, a couple hundred little bits. I'd always had them for torch cleaning, and they just kind of stored the bits right there in the handle. They always had a few bits in them, but not near what these kits you can buy off the internet have now. So I think we're through that one there. Now, to a certain extent, you guys can tell me if I'm wrong. I don't feel that it's gonna hurt too bad to go extra big on these passages, because those are not trying to meter anything all they're doing is allowing fuel up to the meter. It's kind of like having a little 5/8 garden hose or a 3/4 garden hose. If you've got a nozzle on the end that you're only putting out a gallon or quarter of a gallon a minute, well, either one of them garden hoses are going to keep your supply, but I'm not sure. I don't mind running a bigger garden hose. We'll meter that there at the lever. We'll meter that there at the screw. So there we go, we're in. We've already got 2 passages done. We haven't started blowing anything out yet, but that's where we're at. Now the third one is real easy, and we're gonna get into this here real quick here now. Okay, what we're gonna do now is this needle valve. This is the rough drawing of the needle valve in this passage right here. Now this passage here, where your needle and meter and lever and all that set, your needle that's under your meter and lever, that passage will go all the way through. We can see that drill bit coming out both sides as long as you take this little screen out of here. That one will go through both sides. So that one isn't too difficult to clean, but we'll still keep it out. We'll still use the old grease magnet on it. Now there's a consideration on each one of these. I told you the consideration on needle valve. Consideration on this float valve, or this needle valve here under your metering lever. We'll say these solid lines are the original passage, which is about 39 thousandths. Okay, now I drilled that out on the other carburetor just like this to 43.5 thousandths. I hit the 42 thousandths into 43.5, and that went out to about there for argument's sake. Well, this line here, across the float, or across that float valve, that needle valve, is basically how deep that's going to set, right, for representation. When you come out to here, it goes all the way up there before it touches, see? So you actually set that needle that much deeper into there, which is going to give you some issues on your metering lever. It's going to tend to not want to go down as far. As a matter of fact, I had to bend just the tips of them up because this wasn't setting flat anymore. 39 thousandths where we went in, 42 thousandths is where we're going to go. So let's do that right quick. And then we got another, because we're actually going to use a burr on this thing here in just a second too. I'll show you where we use that at. And I don't mind to run this through that pressure cooker there, that crock pot. But I want to blow it out with brake cleaner before I do that. I don't want to start maybe just rattling that into the wrong, rattling it into a passage or something, right? So I'll blow this out with brake cleaner so that the brake cleaner comes out in the direction from which I drilled. I want it to come, whenever I blow brake cleaner in there, I want it to come out the direction that my drill bit went in. There might be cases where it'd be beneficial to blow it the other way. You guys will just have to wrap your head around that and do that as you see fit. So we got that done. We got some little brass shavings on that time. That magnet, that aluminum magnet doesn't just work on aluminum, it works on brass too. So we're done drilling there. The only passage we have not done is the passage that goes from here and feeds that needle valve, right? Out of your float bowl. I'm gonna call it float bowl. You guys are gonna let me. And that one can go pretty big. It started out at, I measured that at about 49 thousandths, okay? We're probably gonna wind up at 57 thousandths because, like I say, we can go big there. It really has nothing to do with our metering, so we're in good shape there. I think as long as you didn't run out of aluminum, well, you can go 1/2 inch on it if that's what you wanted to do. And I'm holding that where I can see. That's all it took, and we got through there. So we'll clean that drill bit off, put the other one on there, reload our aluminum magnet, and give her hell easy again. Hope that didn't get up there on the tip where I wanted it. And that one's in there at an angle. You can kind of feel where it wants to go, but it is in there at an angle. Be aware of that, at least on this carburetor. And this is a knockoff WT carburetor. Well, I wish you guys could see that. She just getting that aluminum. Man, it does a fine job. And you can use stickier grease if you need to. I'm using 00 cornhead grease for combines and stuff. It's a thin grease. That's usually what I put on my, pay attention to what I'm doing. It's built for a corn head and combine heads and things like that. Well, Kicks, you're squeezing through the door. I really didn't want you in here knocking my stuff off, did I, buddy? Ah, you're all right. So now we've got those 3 passages done. 4 passages, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 passages done in just that little short amount of time. Now, where's this here come in? And what are you doing, you jerk? Oh, Kicks, you're a good boy. You're a good dog in a way, but who needs a good dog in a way? Huh? Who needs a good dog in a way? Okay, where our float bowl or our fuel reservoir is going down in there, I don't like that sharp edge now that the carburetor has, just thinking about it porting wise, because there's going to be surface tension on that. So I take this old pointy burr, because I don't use them pointy ones for much else anyway, and I just deburr that hole. Like, he's leaving. He's had all me he can stand. I just deburr that hole just a little bit, and that gives it a nice radius to get that fuel in there. So basically that's all there is to it. I'm gonna shut the video off for just a second. I'm gonna get this carburetor put back together because we got to deal with this concern, and I'll show you a little trick to that. Get these drill bits here all put up, or at least stuck to that magnet where they don't go blowing off through the wall blue yonder. These little magnets on the bench are handy. Well, that just fell off. I can take and hold out my paper towels, keep everything from moving around, keep a gust of wind from blowing in here. Put another little magnet up there to hold little parts. There's a little magnet holding little parts. Just them little button magnets, man, they're handy. Guys, I was editing the carburetor video. I realized it was going to be too long, so I'm going to let you know right now. I'll put it in the title, but it's going to have to be 2-part. I'll get the video edited and put out shortly after this in here so you can see the rest of this carburetor and some of the considerations that we need to think about whenever we're putting it back together. Guys, if I earned her, give her the old hitchhiker. If I didn't, give her the old Julius Caesar, I guess. Appreciate you being here. Thank you.